and welcome to this week's edition of Your Financial Compass, the show that is dedicated to helping you successfully navigate to and through your retirement. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm joined today by two members from Bowman Wealth Group. We have Chris Bowman, he is the founder and a financial advisor, and Scott Vallon, financial advisor. Chris, Scott, I'm excited to be back in the studio. How are you this week?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Other than the cold my son gave me, he's 6, so I'm mad at him, but I'm getting over it. I'm almost better.
It's called life, right?
Yeah.
Doing
Yes.
life.
Not the first time.
And I know your families are very important to you, so remind me, how many kids you have?
As far as I know, there's 2. My daughter's 9, my son is 6.
Yes, and Chris, I know you've shared you have 4 children,
I have
right?
4 sons,
Yes,
4
wow.
sons and a beautiful wife that
Helps take care
and
of
a
all
car
of
that's
it.
got 35,000 miles in the last year.
Wow, I can imagine.
A lot of running with 4 sons. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Well, you've put together another great show for our viewers at home. We're going to be talking today about the difference between investment management and financial planning. Have you ever realized that there actually is a difference? I'm really excited to get into this discussion with you guys because I know this is something you're passionate about, helping people understand. And you know, the reality is financial planning can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And so on a basic level, let's just start with when you're talking about financial planning. How do you define that? What is it? And sometimes more importantly, what is it not?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a loaded question too, right? So a lot of people when they come in, they have their financial plan is I have some 401ks or IRAs and mutual funds or target funds, and that's their plan for retirement. And that's just part of the investment makeup of a plan. But there's a lot of different investments that you can use, maybe that you're not aware of. A lot of folks aren't aware of all the different investment options. But again, that's only one of the 5 areas that we focus on in a comprehensive financial plan. And those other areas are we need to have a comprehensive income plan. We want to make sure, as I've probably said before, it's one thing to hike to the top of the mountain, which is saving for retirement. But you also want to get all the way through retirement. And you want to get back down the mountain safely. And that's having that comprehensive income plan that without fail is going to get you all the way through and to the end of your life. And so Scott always says, people's biggest fear isn't dying, it's running out of money. We have a comprehensive financial plan that includes that comprehensive income plan, tax plan, legacy plan, which takes care of how the money is going to transfer to your beneficiaries, and healthcare plan. And those are all the things that make up a comprehensive financial plan. And we don't expect people to know those things. That's what we're here to do, and that's what we're here to build for people.
And that's what you're experts in, is that engaging in that comprehensive,
Every day.
holistic financial planning process.
Love it.
Yes, you do it day in, day out.
Yeah.
I love that analogy that you shared, Chris, because I've heard that stats say that most accidents that happen when people are hiking, it's not on the ascent, it's not on the way up the mountain, it's on the way back down. And so that really speaks to the fact that there's different phases when it comes to someone's retirement planning, right? We have the accumulation phase, which most people are very familiar with. You're putting that money away, you are saving during your working years. But then a shift happens and we enter that distribution phase. And that's really what you all specialize in doing, is helping people navigate that important phase. Yeah,
and part of that phase when we're building out a plan is sometimes people think, well, do we just do it once and it's all set? And I wish, because it'd be a lot less work for us, but it's one of the, there's a financial book I read that I really enjoy by an author named Morgan Housel, and he said, with a plan, always plan on your plan, not going according to plan. So let's
use wise words.
Yeah, let's use an analogy. Let's say that someone's going to do a road trip across country, and they're going to follow a map or a GPS. If you're driving that far, something's going to happen. There's going to be traffic jam, bad weather, what have you.
Right.
A million things happen. In that same vein, our retirement might be 20, 30 years. There's going to be detours we have to take. So the point is, a plan always has to be updated. It's always changing. And know that our plan doesn't go according to plan. So we need to make sure and leave wiggle room within the plan for those kind of things happening to alleviate those concerns and know, hey, no matter what, our clients know that there's going to be a way we can divert this or divert this. But the point is, you don't just do it once, set it and forget it. It's a living, breathing thing. And that's part of what we're doing when we're working with our clients. So we're always evaluating it, adjusting it, You might want to do all your trips in the first 10 years of retirement. What you find cool today, you might not in 15 years, so the plan needs to adjust. So it's always changing, and that's, where we're always evaluating and keeping up to date with the current setup.
And if I could just add to that, I would say it's not just that we're always doing that, but people can depend on us for leadership to do that.
Yes.
Because, I can't tell you how many times over the last 20 years we get a phone call, a spouse passed away. What do we do next? First of all, we console them, we talk to them, we cry with them. But then it's, how do we contact the pension company? How do we contact the 401k? Who do we get a hold of, to take care of the children? Like, what are all the steps that we need to do?
Right.
And the last thing you want to do when you're in a position like that is try to figure it out. You need to already have a partner in place, or it's certainly advantageous to have a partner in place to just lay it all on them and step back and say, lead the way, please help. And that's what we're here to do.
Absolutely, or a job loss. There's so many,
yeah.
unknown variables that happen. You want to have that person in your corner that you can call, who's going to help you navigate through life's challenges.
Yeah.
I love that you do that. I love that you all do life with your clients, and you
Yeah.
do that really, really well.
Yeah.
Well, I know another thing that really sets you guys apart is you have a trademarked process of how you help folks engage in this financial planning, this comprehensive, holistic financial planning process. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about what you call it and what that looks like.
Yeah, so it's called the Financial Compass, surprise, surprise with the name of the show. But Chris mentioned this earlier, it encompasses 5 areas. And, one of them, income planning, risk management with your portfolio, tax planning, healthcare planning, and legacy planning. And it sounds like a lot, but that's where you entrust in us to help walk you through that step by step. Generally, you don't do it all at once. We do it one step at a time. And if that sounds like something that could be of value to you, or you have more questions about it, then we ask you to call the number, schedule a time, and we'll do a Financial Compass complimentary review. And one of the first things we'll do is a risk analysis of your current portfolio. Is it in balance with your preferences? We'll do an income analysis, and then, like we said, we'll start to look at those other steps of the Financial Compass and see if there's areas that can be of value to you.
Wonderful. Well, Chris and Scott, thank you so much. We are going to take a quick commercial break, but again, you might be at home thinking, wow, I've never even thought of it this way. I've never realized that there was truly a difference between financial planning and investment management. Maybe you're already working with another financial advisor and they're not having these kinds of conversations with you about all these areas of your financial life. If so, this is an excellent opportunity to pick up the phone and get a complimentary second opinion from Chris and Scott and the team at Bowman Wealth Group. All you need to do is call that number on the bottom of your screen, 888-970-4685. You're also welcome to take out your smartphone. You can actually open up that QR, or open up the camera app, if you will, on your phone. You can point it right there at that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and a member of the team will reach out and connect with you to schedule your complimentary Financial Compass review that way as well. We have more on today's show covering the differences between investment management and financial planning right after this.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back. You're watching Your Financial Compass. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm joined by Chris Bowman and Scott Villan from Bowman Wealth Group. We are having an important discussion today about the difference between investment management and financial planning. And I know before the break, we touched on your trademark process that you do for folks to help them engage in this comprehensive, holistic financial planning process. You call it Your Compass, right? Helping build an individual compass retirement plan for folks. And so let's spend some time really breaking down each of these these 5 areas. And so the first one you mentioned, where it does focus on investments, because obviously investment management needs to be part of a well-designed comprehensive plan. So Chris, share a little bit more about what you do for people in that space.
Yeah, I like to, my sons are golfers, and there's a lot of golfers in California. And so, a good way to think of it is if you're a golfer and you step up to the tee box and there's, a lake on the left and out of bounds to the right, you may not want to hit a driver right there. Maybe you want to hit a 9-iron or 7-iron, get it in play, work your way down the fairway and try to get a par. Or if you're, 150 yards out, you probably don't want to use a driver. Maybe you want to use a 9-iron or something. So different tools for different shots. And it's very similar in financial planning and asset management. There's so many different tools, and most people don't know, so they just use one tool for everything. It might be that growth mutual fund, large cap growth mutual fund, or large cap stocks or something, which we see a lot. There's just 1 or 2 tools being used. And so when we talk to people about building that plan, we talk about their risk tolerant there. How well do you sleep at night knowing that your account could lose? And I don't even like for people to think 10%, 20%. I want you to think, if you've got a $2 million portfolio, if I drop $500,000, am I going to sleep well? And if not, we need to know that to build your portfolio, because you don't need to take that potential of losing 25% in your portfolio.
Right.
And so we talk about all of those things and set up a comprehensive financial plan on the asset management side that's taking the risk that you want to take to get the returns that you want to get, right? And a lot of that is also determined by what you need. There's no reason to risk what you have to get what you don't need, right? So
It's a really great way to put it. There's
Yeah.
no reason to risk what you don't. Wait, say that again?
there's no reason to risk what you have to get what you don't need.
Yes.
And a lot of people, they come in and again, why take that risk to lose 25, 35%? The market's dropped nearly 40% 13 times in the last, 80 years,
Yep.
which is about every 7 or 8 years. So why take the risk to lose 40% of your portfolio if you never needed to get that 25% return anyway? And the other thing I would say is, most of the time, those 25 and 30% returns follow the 40% losses.
Right.
So all you're doing is trying to claw your way back.
Absolutely. Yep. So much goes into investment management for sure. And, a lot of folks have a lot of different kind of investments out there. Some people don't even know what they have or what fees they're paying inside these different investments either, right?
Absolutely. So a full analysis of your risk, your risk number, as we call it, how much you'll lose when the market drops, how much you'll make when the market goes up, and is it worth it? And then a full analysis of the fees as well.
Right.
What you're paying, to your advisor, what you're paying within the funds that you're in. All of those things are part of that portion, the 1/5 portion of what we do in a holistic financial plan.
Absolutely. Gosh, we could do a whole show just on one
Absolutely.
point of the 5-point compass, but let's get to some of the other points, which I know the next one is income planning. So
Yeah.
share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I always say at my seminars is without income, you can't retire. And the biggest fear of retirees every year is running out of money. It's not even death. So it's one of those strange transitions where, say you've been working for a company for years and you're used to them paying, your paycheck every couple weeks. Well, eventually you get to retirement and then it's on you to create that paycheck. And that's part of where the fear comes, I think, is like, wow, now it's on me. How do I create that same income? And as Chris just referenced, obviously part of it is from investments, but there are other streams of income. Social Security. We need to sit down. We get so many questions about Social Security. When do we take it? When's the best time? There'll never be a perfect time because we don't know when you're going to die. But we certainly need to talk about it and run different scenarios and options. Another one is maybe you have a pension. How does that factor in? We have a lot of state workers in our area and they have pensions. Another is in California, a lot of our clients own real estate. They're getting a stream of income from that. But where it gets confusing is, where do all these pieces fit together?
Yes.
How do I create $5,000 a month spendable dollars from my investments and my pension and my Social Security and make sure that I don't run out of it? And that is really where an income plan comes in to map you through all those different scenarios, because if we don't do that, then we're flying blind, and then that plays into that biggest fear of, I've run out of money, what do I do? So income planning is maybe the most important thing, in my opinion.
It all stems from that, honestly, because I've heard it said that success in retirement isn't so much with how much money you've been able to accumulate. Obviously, that is an important factor, but rather your ability to take that amount and convert it into a reliable, ongoing income stream for yourself. And that's what you're helping folks do.
That allows you to sleep at night.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
exactly
absolutely,
right.
for sure.
Well, let's move to our third point of the financial compass. This might be a lot of people's favorite subject, right? We might say that a little bit jokingly. Don't change the channel. We're going to talk about taxes. Oh my gosh, engaging in strategic tax planning. That is so crucial in today's economic environment.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And we work hand in hand with our clients' CPAs. We have CPAs that we work with hand in hand as well. And tax planning means more than just doing your taxes by April 15th every year. It means what are the investment structures that we're using along the way. We have clients that retire, it could be $6 million, $8 million, and they're in qualified plans. Well, then all of a sudden they get to retirement. Maybe they have Social Security, maybe they even have a pension, and now they have what? At age 73, 75, they have required minimum distributions.
Yes.
And now they're in a tax bomb like they've never seen. And so, it's, if we could rewind the clock and say, well, what if we would have invested in these buckets differently, whether it's Roth strategies or other strategies that are going to be more tax advantage to them. Or when you're in your 60s, if you're retiring, and there's a way that we can begin to make those conversions to get you out of that long-term tax bomb that you're going to be in if you're in that RMD in the millions of dollars range. It really is a struggle for some people. And the earlier we can get started on planning that, the better off we're going to be. So tax planning isn't just about April 15th. It's about the decisions that you make along the way every year leading up to retirement and then into retirement. And it's also about, it's not what you make, it's what you get to keep.
Yes.
So if you're trading every day and you're making all these gains, but then you end up paying, in California, 48% or something with state and federal taxes, you would have been better off getting a lower percentage, less risk, but having long-term gains, right? So those are conversations that we have that all play into that third kind of leg of the stool there, which is the tax planning.
Absolutely. And I think that when it comes to taxes, one of the things I always liken it to is it's often like folks are playing a game that they've never been given the rules to. But you all help peel back the layer, right? Peel back the curtain on that playbook and working together with CPAs to help people make the tax code, make greater tax efficiency throughout their full financial plan. So that's a really important piece of the financial compass for sure.
Yeah, and it's as we chuckled earlier, I've yet to meet someone that didn't want to pay less in taxes.
Right.
So if taxes are a thorn in your side, like a lot of folks, or like we said, income planning, risk management, a lot of our clients have $1 million or more, but if you're at home and you've got $500,000 or more and you want to find out more, schedule a time to have your complimentary financial compass review, and we'll do the risk analysis. We will do a analysis of your current income plan. We can start talking about tax planning, what does a Roth conversion mean to you, and all these different things. And we can sit down and chat. And that's what we're offering, is a time to have a conversation and see if there's value that we can provide.
Wonderful. Well, Scott and Chris, thank you so much. We've gone through 3 of the 5 points of the financial compass. We still have 2 more to cover and a lot more to get into on today's show. But we are going to take a quick commercial break, and this is a great opportunity to pick up the phone, call that number on the bottom of your screen, 888-970-4685, or you're welcome to take out your smartphone. You can scan that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner. Both ways will get you connected to be able to come in and get your complimentary financial compass review from Chris and Scott and the team at Bowman Wealth Group. More right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life, and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Your Financial Compass. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm here with Chris Bowman and Scott Vallon from Bowman Wealth Group. We are talking today about the difference between investment management and financial planning. And I love that you have this trademarked process that you help folks walk through, the financial compass. Your financial compass, it has 5 points. We've already covered the first 3. So let's get on to point number 4. So talk about this next point in the compass. Of course, it encompasses healthcare, which is such a huge expense for so many folks in retirement these days.
Yeah, a lot of the folks that we work with are in their early 60s, and they know once they hit 65, Medicare comes up, and there's so many questions. What is Medicare A, B, and C? What does all this mean?
Alphabet soup of
the
Medicare,
alphabet soup,
right?
and it's like, yeah, it's kind of crazy to navigate. So there's that element, but then there's also beyond that, generally these large unforeseen expenses in retirement come from something health related. So a lot of our clients want to talk about ways to maybe plan for that. So that's the 4th one. And then the final leg of the stool.
The 5th point, right?
Yeah, the 5th point, I guess that'd be a strange 5-legged stool. But anyhow, is legacy, which is legacy planning is such a dramatic term, but it encompasses estate planning of, in California, why do I need a trust? Why is that important? What does it mean for me? Maybe it means a life insurance element. At its very basic core, legacy planning is making sure that your wealth that you've created, what you have left, passes on to the people that you want it to. You'd probably rather it going to your kids if you have them, or your charity or other family, as opposed to Uncle Sam or state of California, what have you. And that's where legacy planning comes in, and we can help in that area as well.
Absolutely. And it's amazing to me still how many people die that are famous who've never engaged in that estate planning process. What a nightmare. And we've said this before, when you're grieving and such, that's not the time on top of everything else you want to have to wade through a nightmare and be left behind. So I've always thought of it as it's one of the most loving things that you can do for your loved ones is engage in that estate planning process.
You know what? It's amazing. You bring that up. For years, we referred to attorneys every time. And I would say a fraction of our clients that we referred actually got their estate plans done.
Wow.
So we said this is enough. Enough is enough. We started doing estate plans within our office, and now we're doing 5 to 10 every month because people need them. And we
Yes.
make it so easy as part of our comprehensive plan to just get it done and stop thinking about it.
And I love that you're a one-stop shop, right? So folks don't have to stress or worry about who do I talk to about this or
Yes.
that. You're able
Yeah.
to do it all in-house.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I would love to hear a little bit. I know that you work with a variety of folks all throughout California and other states as well, virtually, but I would love to hear when you think about the ideal person who you're really able to help. If someone's watching today and they're wondering, well, gosh, I need to engage in this comprehensive financial planning process. Who do you feel like your Compass plan really serves the best?
Yeah, I mean, our typical avatar client, our best clients are kind of between $1 million to $10 million or more. But really, if you have $500,000 in investable assets and you want a plan, you want a second opinion, we want to help. We want to lead. We want to give you guidance, and we want to direct you, in the proper direction. So those are the people that we want to help the best. And also, if you're sort of pre-retiree, if you're getting close to retirement or in retirement, and all of this sounds like, wow, I should have done this, or I need to do this, or whatever, we're here to help.
Right. Well, when is the ideal time? I'm sure you get that question a lot.
Yeah.
When should I start this process, right? Because obviously different things need to be navigated at different points in someone's financial life. So how do you answer that question?
Yeah, well, what's that old proverb? It says the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, second best time is now, or yesterday. So that's where...
Or today.
Or today.
On the show, during the
on the
show,
show.
right?
So
Yeah,
after the show, we'll go
We're
work
selling
on-
seeds.
We'll go work on
Yes.
Kristen's plan. So it generally the earlier the better, but we know that's not reality. We know that folks might be in their 60s, they want to retire in a few years, and now is the time to come sit down. And we have so many stories. Chris and I could go do a whole show on stories, but like one that stands out to me, my clients Jim and Carrie, worked with them for several years, and when they came in, and this is the value of the plan, or a plan. Jim's a few years older, and the plan was for him to come retire that fall, and Carrie was going to work a few more years. And, he was able to retire. Then they came in for a review about 6 months later. And, he had a big smile and she had a big frown. I'm like, hey, what's wrong, Carrie? And she's like, well, Jim gets to sleep in. I got to wake up. He gets to hike the dogs and I got to go to work. And she's like, Scott, I know that we, had planned for me to work 2 more years. is there any way we can maybe work around that? So I said, well, let me see. I come back in a week. Let's kind of rerun the numbers. And long story short, they came back the next week. It was a Tuesday night. And I showed her the plan. I said, Carrie, you could retire tomorrow.
Wow.
And she waited till Friday. At least she gave her 3 more days out of respect for her employer. But that's the fun part. Like,
Yep.
we talk about all these serious things, which we have to be there for, but it's also fun to plan for the trips. My client, Daryl, went to Hawaii with 17 family members, which sounds
Wow.
stressful to me. My client, Alan, traveled across the country in an RV. My client, Judy, went to the Galapagos Islands. That's the fun stuff, too. And that's where, we can help plan for these, because these are big bucket list items.
Absolutely.
It doesn't always have to be the dollars and cents. It can be that, the more fun stuff, too. And that's, Chris and I and our team enjoy being able to be a part of that as we map those things
And
out.
those memories that you can't put a price on, right? I know we've gotten to do some together as a family. We recently went to Hawaii. It was my parents' 55th anniversary and our 10th, and that was a bucket list item. And I'm just so grateful that we were able to do that with them.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Absolutely. And with the plan, by the way, think of it as a garden. If you till a garden and then you don't plant anything, it doesn't just sit there and wait for you to plant it. It starts growing stuff, but it's stuff you didn't want to grow. And it's the unknown, what is going to grow. But if you plant what you want, you're going to reap what you sow. And that's the thing about a financial plan is think ahead. If you haven't started thinking about it yet, that's what we're here for. And let's plant what you want to sow later, and we'll make it happen.
I love that. And you're helping folks figure out what they can do in retirement, not what they can't do. And I
Absolutely.
love that story that you shared about Carrie, for example, because a lot of folks are working longer and wanting to, but we want you to only continue working if you want to, not because you have to, right? And so I love that you were able to say, look, it's possible. You can
Yeah.
do it now.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. If you want a team that can help plan for the fun stuff, but also be there and plan for the bad stuff, because life throws in those elements, then that's one of the things that we can begin to find out when we sit down to do your complimentary, no obligation, financial compass review. And you can call the number, we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation. And I always say in our first meetings, I find out what keeps you up at night anxious, what gets you up in the morning excited. And once we start to figure those things out, then the rest starts to fall into place. And that's one of the things that we can sit and help with. And if this is all resonating with you, then call the number. We'll schedule a time, and we'll begin having those conversations with you, and see where it leads us.
Wonderful. Scott, Chris, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, we ask you, what's keeping you up at night anxious? What's getting you up in the morning excited? Let Chris and Scott and the team at Bowman Wealth help and serve you. 888-970-4685. Thanks for watching. We look forward to being back with you next week.